Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me this afternoon, this Tuesday afternoon here in Mr. Walter Around the World. So, we have a great show today, and if you have been watching for the last couple of days, we've been traveling all around the world. So, thank you so much for joining us and being here. I know that we have Mr. Adam already as part of the on the chat. So thank you so much for joining us and making sure that you are here, that we are having a fun time. We are definitely going to be using Google Earth as well as we use every day to kind of travel and explore the world little by little. So thank you for joining. We're going to be starting soon and I have a great show. Today we are going to be traveling to zoos and animal parks around the world. So one of the things that we haven't done really in the program as of yet is being able to see some animals and see animals around the world. And I have a special treat for you guys as we come back and we look around the world and see some of the places. So let's get started. So make sure that you chime in on the chat and can let me know how things are going and how you are today. Hi, Nikki, joining every day. Just thank you for joining in. So what is your favorite animals? You know, what kind of animals do you like? What kind of animals do you see? You know, as you can see right on the world, we have several zoos and animal parks around the world, and we'll be able to go in each one and take just a closer look at some of the animals that are there, and we'll be able to kind of look around. So great. So let's get started. We'll see which ones are some of the best animals and some of the things that you might see and enjoy. So as we kind of wander around, let's start initially like we always do, where we start. So we are right here in Texas. We're actually right there in Dallas. So let's zoom in to our place. As we zoom in all the way down to our offices here in Plano and take just kind of again a bird's eye view of how we where we work from. So we see right here, which are offices in Hexa, right at the edge of in Plano, and we are just kind of looking around to see. And as the area starts to turn, I'm going to try to get to our basketball court and the start of our adventure. So every day we start from our offices and we venture out in the world. So as we zoom in, and here we go. Here are our offices here in Dallas. There's our trusty basketball court, and you can see our offices right now in Plano. And as we come out every day from our offices, this is where we have all our creative meetings. We think and we talk about what cool things we could do. And from here, we're going to go explore the world again with Around the World with Mr. Walter. And we're going to explore different zoos and animal parks around the world. So let's get going. Let's start moving. Here we go. Zoos and animal parks around the world. So as we zoom out, we are going to start. And you can see some of the places around the world where you have zoos and animal parks. So let me start taking out some of these things so you can actually see them better. And here we go. And we're gonna see if we can get some of these things out. There we go. Perfect. And now I'm gonna move my camera just a little bit further down so you'll be able to see some of the places that we'll go. Awesome. And then we'll just move the camera right back later. So we know that there are several zoos and animal parks that are very famous. I think one of the famous ones that we know is some of the great zoos that we have here in the San Francisco Zoo. Well, there's another one which is in Honolulu. So there's all different places, you know, the San Diego Zoo as well. But there's other ones that are closer to us. So let's start from a way back around the world, and then we'll head right back. So let's go to the Chengdu Research Station, and we'll move all the way through. So this is a great base. Is the Chengdu Research Station it's a giant panda breeding facility in China. So it's a famous giant panda research, and from here you can actually see there's a lot of international public education, an ecotourism destination, and also it's just a base of operations for the pandas. So you know, you can see right there, actually we see 1, 2, 3, 4 different pandas on a complete area, and you see how interesting the habitat has been done, that the pandas and all the trees that they climb up and then they jump from and kind of model about, so it's all reinforced, right? So it's all reinforced so they'll be able to climb, and trees, you know, kind of, and you see how interesting all those trees are kind of reinforced for the pandas. So as we pan around, we see that not only do they have the full area in front and in the back, but also you can see that they have a few of the stairs, and as they climb up onto the trees, they feed, and then they come right back down. There's a few, so giant pandas is one of the interesting points here at in China, in the Chengdu Research Base for having them, studying them, breeding them as well. So the first stop on our photosphere around the world of zoos and animals and additional parks is the research station in China, when they have the world's famous giant panda research. So beautiful, beautiful place and beautiful area here in China. So one of the most interesting and noticing great places here in our world. So you know, you might ask, well, where is China anyways? Right, so China, as we kind of move out, is right there. So let's see. As you can see, here's China. There is here's the area of Japan. Here's India. And they're up there's all Europe and the Middle East, as well as the continent of Africa. And we have South America, Central America, and then we go all the way back. We have Mexico and the United States. So as you can see, and we turn the world around, if we are here in Texas and we turn around, and actually it'd be probably easier to go the other way around. So here's Texas, here's California, then we have Hawaii, and then as we cross over, there it is, Japan, and there's China, just all the way across. So interesting place. The first one on our tour today is the Chengdu Research Base, where giant pandas, you know, are being studied in an international research station for public education. All right, so as we move for the next, we are heading to Toronto, Canada. In Toronto, Canada, this is a beautiful Rogue Valley at the Toronto Zoo. You see a full valley representing the tundra, and you see that, you know, more than 5,000 animals representing over 500 species are located within 287, almost 710 acres of land, which is one of the largest zoos in the world. So it's amazing how we can go to these places, and actually we are taking a quick look at the area. So there's some rhinos right there, and maybe you can see some other pictures around. So definitely you see the, all the tourist section, and all the vehicles, dressed up and as zebras here at the, the safari tours that they have, and taking pictures of across the area. And you can see, like I said, almost 710 acres of land, one of the biggest zoos in the world. And we can take a close look at some of the creatures that are right here. So we can see the rhinos right there. I'm trying to figure out if we can see some other ones, other animals here. They're probably all in the shade. If you see them right there, there's a few of them in the shade, but there's a perfect picture of a rhino right in front of us, which is going to bring us back to what today we're going to do. So today in our activity, we're just going to take a little piece of cardboard, and we're going to be using our trusty scissors, and we're going to be cutting up some cardboard into animal shapes, and then having them all be lined up as part of our kind of character creations for today's activity. So we'll be able to do that. So our second stop here on our photosphere around the world is Toronto, in Ontario, Canada, the Toronto Zoo, which has a huge habitat, the Rogue Valley. More than 5,000 animals have been, live here in this great area. So awesome, wonderful. Let's see, what the next area is. So we went to Toronto Zoo. So it's in Canada. So it's actually way up here. Is that? I think it's right there. The Toronto Zoo, right in Canada. Now we're just gonna move right back to the Chapultepec Zoo. So the Chapultepec Zoo is, Mexico City. So another great point about having zoos and also having all these animals around the world is that different countries have different ecosystems, and since they have ecosystems, traditional animals or animals from that region live in these habitats. So opened in 1924, almost 100 years ago, the Chapultepec Zoo welcomes about 5 to 8 million natural annual visitors who have come to see a collection of nearly 2,000 animals, over 200 different species. And I think the one that we're actually seeing here is the black bear. As we zoom in, just a black bear taking some sun right at Mexico City. And we can see all the habitat right around. You see all the information on the side, where it lives, as well as how the species has evolved over the years. And you see all these beautiful rock formations that are set for the zoo. So as we pan out, and you can see some of the great places here, as well as you turn around and we see the other areas of the tundra here in Mexico City. So I think it's really important, not only that most of the urban cities and most of the places, just like here in Dallas, we have the Dallas Zoo. It's important for us to be aware that all these countries have beautiful places. And if you're traveling, make sure you check some of these out, because you'll be able to see some of the species that are native to these areas. And we're seeing now, we're seeing the oso negro, the black bear, here in the Chapultepec Zoo in Mexico City. A great place. Started almost 100 years ago, and it has people have visited 5 to 8 million people, annual visitors, and a collection of almost 2,000 animals. So a great place. All right, so let's kind of move right back out. And so we were right here in Mexico City. So we are here in Texas. Here's Mexico, and here's in Mexico City, one of the zoos that we have. So let's start kind of move down and see what the next zoo. I think the next zoo is also in Mexico. It's actually, they look very close You see those two spots right there, and it's called Zoológico de Sancango. So the Zoológico de Sancango, again, yeah, it is in Mexico. So it's 159 acres of, it's one of the most biodiverse, and it hosts more than 180 different species worldwide. So one thing is having a number of animals, but other thing is being able to have just a biodiversity. So biodiversity means that you have a collection of animals that are very diverse from different areas in a full collection. So this one has over more than 180 different species, as well as many of them which are in danger of extinction. So they have, the zoo is divided in different areas: carnivores, herbivores, primates, African, and then it has features most comprehensive collection of reptiles in Latin America. So, you can definitely see the full ecosystem as well right here. And let's turn around and see if do we see some of the lions way in the back, and some of the other animals that are here in the Zoológico de Sancango in Mexico. There we go. There it is. And this one says, so it says, so feeding the tigers, as you can see it right here, taking a very specific look at the camera, feeding these animals is dangerous. So make sure that you always, when you see these animals, even though they're in a zoo, these are wild animals. So make sure that you keep away and not feed them, since there are definitely wild animals, as we kind of look and see. All right, so we have been to 3 zoos already on our quick tour. We've gone to China. We've gone to Ontario, Canada, when we have been to 2 zoos that have been in Mexico. So we have been, here's Mexico right here. We have gone to China, we've gone to Canada right way up here, and we have gone across the way, and we have seen here in China the research station for the giant pandas. So an incredible places as we can move and look, and we see the next few zoos that are coming up. On our activity today, we're going to be making a specific little animals, but I have a special treat that I really hope it works. And if it works, it'll be great to actually being able to take a first-hand look at some of these animals. So let's get right back. I'm going to ask in the chat, what is your favorite animal? Do you have favorite animals? I think I'm pretty partial to penguins. I absolutely really like penguins. So I think that's one of my favorite animals. I'm not so much of a reptile guy, so I not quite like so many of those animals, even though I find them very interesting. But what is your favorite animal? You can chime in, and like Mr. Adam and Nicole, and as well as everybody else, join in and let me know. What is your favorite animal that you have? And maybe we can take a quick look at some of them. I do like, for example, dolphins. I think they're very interesting as well, and extremely smart. So let's start moving to the next zoo. So the next zoo is in Singapore, right? So as we kind of move along and we go to Singapore Zoo, we see that it spans over 28 acres in Singapore's heavily forested central attachment area. So it's a very heavy and very tropical place. The zoo will attract about 1.6 million visitors a year. It has 315 different species, and 16% is considered to be threatened species. So one of the things that I love about this zoo is that is the way that it just blends in right into the full area. So you can see some of the tourists right there, and you can see also that the guardrails are small and barely noticeable, and then you have the animals just across the way. So as you can see, the giraffe right in front, and then you see the natural setting of the lake right in the back. So it is as close as to nature as we can bring it. And remember that Singapore is also a very heavily dense population area, but this one is in this heavy central forest. So this is where, you know, a great place to actually have a zoo, and you see all the vegetations as well. So here's a great example of how our urban, you know, and corporate responsibility to have these animals, study them, and make sure that, you know, the animals that are considered threatened or have a habitat in which, you know, they can be enjoyed. So another perfect, you know, picture perfect place. Here's the giraffe feeding right on the top of the trees, and then you have all the background. So having a great open natural place and having just minimally invasive area. So very pretty, as you know, as you can see that the full zoo is, you know, right, almost right in the middle of this dense area. So let's see if we can see another animal across the way. I don't think I see anyone as well. Maybe it's just way back there. I'm not sure, you know, as we kind of pan around on these great. So you can see how different some of the zoos are. And this is what I was mentioning of when you travel, make sure that you're able to go to these places, because some of them are just amazing. They're just open to, not only open to the full area, but also have the ecosystem and the environment that is very that's very interesting and in these parts of the world. All right, so great question. Where is Singapore? Singapore, anyways, right? So there is Singapore right there. And so here's Asia. Right down there is Australia, and then you see Philippines, and you see China, and you see Malaysia, and then you have India. So all these places. As we travel from place to place, seeing the zoos and animal parks around the world. So I thought that was pretty neat today. Actually, we use our globe and we turn it around and we actually pinpoint some of these great places of zoos and seeing some animals. So we saw some rhinos already. We saw some giraffes. We saw some tigers. We'll see what other animals we see as we move to the next. So the next zoo that we have in store for you guys is the Shaoshan Zoo, also in Asia, right? This is in Taiwan. And again, another great example of how zoos can be made on just within the land, and make sure that they just use those natural and the natural forestry to actually provide the animals with as much natural resources. All right, we see some, you know, little goats that we have here and have the showcase. So it's a showcase animals from Asia, Africa, America, and Australia. And among them, there's elephants, there are black bears, there are kangaroos, lions, and tigers. So as we kind of take a look around, we'll see, you know, if we see some of the pictures, and maybe I think it might be right around. Actually, not quite sure if we actually see an animal here, but let me see if I can zoom in, see if there's someone or one of the animals within the trees. I don't see it. So, you know, one of the interesting points here in the Shaoshan Zoo in Taiwan, again, is how they're being able to use, you know, this full area as we walk across the way little by little, and we move from one of the areas to another areas. You can see that we can explore at the street level. We can explore some of the cool areas of the zoo and see how it's kind of been built right along the different countryside. And as we can just kind of move and turn around. Let's see if we can turn around. And yeah, we are walking literally across the Shangshao Zoo in Taiwan, taking some pictures of some of the animals. So we were across the other way. Now we're walking towards all these areas, and being able to take some pictures and see some of the animals that are. So this is something which is really interesting that you could do. Using Google Earth, you can actually move right through the zoo, taking like a virtual tour, and go right up to some of the animals that are standing right there. So let's see if we can see what they're taking pictures of. So I think there's some ponies right here. Yeah, they're taking pictures of ponies. They're taking pictures of other kind of domestic animals in this area. It's probably like much more like a petting zoo, or at least this area of it. So it's a really interesting in how not only domestic animals that are featured from these areas, but also some endangered species, and they all kind of live together. And some of the visitors can come in and actually get a closer look of the zoos and animal parks around the world. So we have been to Thailand, we've been to Singapore, we have been to Toronto, we've been to several places. So as we move forward, let's kind of keep looking to see where we go next. So I think we're going to keep looking through the Asia zoos, the Taronga Zoo. So let's see where this is. Oh, this is in Australia. So another great example of how zoos can be made right between the urban landscape. You can see this great zoo in Sydney, Australia, and we have explored Sydney before, but you can see right out into the bay, and you can see there's the Needle as well as some of the skyline. But you can see right here that the zoo is right across the bay. Beautiful place, taking some pictures of the giraffes as well. And as we kind of pan around, you see all these great lush green areas, kind of being walking around. And here's some school kids taking a field trip. So it's another great fun of actually having them and kind of looking around to see some of the different areas. So you can see that again right there, a bunch of school kids as well, taking some field trips and going through the African safari, visiting some chimpanzees, and this right here, we're actually taking a quick pictures of the giraffes that are here in Sydney, Australia. So incredible, the Taronga Zoo is located in the shores. It's just 12 minutes away from the city by ferry, and it's officially opened again almost 100 years ago, a little bit more than 100 years ago, in 1916. 21 acres, 52 acres, and offers visitors just free shows. It has almost 2,600 animals, almost 340 species. So another great place, and animals, as we kind of take back on our photosphere of animals around the world, and we'll go back to our world. So we have been to Australia, and Australia's way back here, right down here, right at the edge, and we have visited Australia before. We have actually gone to several places. We actually gone to Sydney. We have kind of moved through the tundra. We have actually also gone right at the edge where the rest of the coral reefs as well have gone. So great places all around this world, and this is one of them, the Taronga Zoo in Sydney, Australia. All right, so we'll move now to Europe, and we'll head out to Madrid, in the aquarium in Spain, Zoo Aquarium de Madrid. So here in the Zoo Aquarium de Madrid, we'll be able to see that another great zoo that expands 20 acres, and it's called Casa del Campo in Madrid, which is a field house of here in Spain. Is dedicated of striking a balance between education and entertainment. So that is an important part of what the zoo is all about. Half of it has to be entertainment, so people can come back, but half of it also is using for being able to teach and being able to have for education. So as we look, we take a quick look right there of a rhino right in front of us, actually taking the picture, and we see that right across the same way. Having all these great open areas and seeing some of the animals, and one of the great places about it that most of these zoos have these two arrows, as you can see right in front of you, and these arrows is for us to kind of walk along the path. So we are actually able to walk along and just take a look on the right side and right hand side and the left hand side, as we kind of walk through the zoo and explore it on this virtual tour as we come up and see some of the animals that are there. Let's see what we have right over there. So again, some of the waterways, and look how cool it looks like. They have this set with a sunken ship. So as we move and take a look around, we're able to just move around and see again some of the great places here in Madrid. So cool place as we kind of walk around and take a look at just this great zoo. As we move right back, and we can take a few tours, we'll take a few other steps around and kind of walk around some of these great areas. Very beautiful place in Madrid. So where is Madrid, and where's Spain anyways in our globe? So as we kind of pan out, right, we see Madrid way up there in Europe. So here's Africa, there is Spain right there, and right in the middle is Madrid. So that way, hopefully, that as we keep on watching Mr. Walter Around the World, you get a sense of where things are in the globe, and you can actually take a chance to review. So we've seen all sorts of things. We've gone underwater, we've gone to the desert, we've gone to the mountains, we've seen different places and historical places, and now we're just looking around to zoos around the world and these zoos and animal parks, which are just great. So let's keep on kind of moving around. I think we're going to keep on walking around in Europe, and we are going to the Parc Zoològic de Barcelona. So in Barcelona, again in Spain, we have another one of the parks, and the Parc Zoològic de Barcelona. We'll be able to see, and I think that's an ostrich right in front. It is, so taking a quick look of an ostrich here in right in Spain, and you see again how great it's just a minimally invasive. You see all the open area that we have, and we'll be able to kind of walk around as well and just take a quick look as we move through through this zoo, and we'll be able to take again some of the pictures of different animals as we kind of walk around. And you see again some of the school kids as we walk around. So we'll go actually we'll go straight back, and we'll go down that road, and we'll move a little bit more just to take just a view of the zoo, left and right, and how just houses this great this place here in Spain. So it's designed to make each animal feel at home with open areas. Some of the notable facilities include reptile house, an aviary, and also a small primates gallery. So great place right here. All right, so as we move from zoos in Spain, and this is two of them that we were right here, we're going to keep on moving to another one of the zoos and animal parks, and we will go. The next stop in our view is, France. So let's go and see. This is another, great. This is in France, La Femme Crocodiles, which is a tropical greenhouse over 8,000 square meters dedicated to enabling an observation of reptiles. Over 400 crocodiles in a magnificent group of giant tortoises are here. So, as you can see, not only it's just having animals that are out in the open, but also being able to create these greenhouses, and these greenhouses so you can see some of the animals that are, even closer. So, you can see right across some of the crocodiles right there, just taking some sun in this warm greenhouse, and you can actually see the top that, not only has all the bamboo structure, but has all the infrastructure on top, all the glass structure to keep all this place, very tropical and warm. So, let's walk around and let's take a quick look at some of these places, and let's actually go around and see if we can take some pictures and look around to see if we can find some additional areas as we kind of walk down this tropical greenhouse and see if we can take a few pictures. There it is, as you can see. So we are actually looking right over the edge of the crocodile greenhouse, 8,000 square meters dedicated for observation, 400 crocodiles, and we see some of them right there. So we are looking, and this is in France. So I think this is the beauty of these types of programs and these type of things, that we can actually go and just kind of lean over the edge and take a quick look at some of the animals that are in France here at the La Ferme aux Crocodiles, which is the greenhouse area in France. And you can see all the structures, and you can see how all the pipes to make it rain, and you see just a full area of crocodiles here and giant tortoises as we keep exploring some of the great places of zoos and animals around the world. So, wow, look at those ones right at the edge. See if I can zoom in. Yeah, some incredible pictures of close up of some of the crocodiles, and as I was mentioning, you can always kind of walk around these with this virtual tour as we look and see. So let's kind of again zoom out. We're in France and looking at some animals, looking at some crocodiles, and we're going to zoom out and take a quick look as we're going to be moving right out of France, and we were right here in Europe, and so here is Spain, here is France right next to it. Let me turn the globe around so we can take a quick look of where we are, and we were just a minute ago just inside the crocodile greenhouse and taking a quick look at some of these great amazing animals. So as we kind of move to the next, let me know, what is your favorite animal? What do you like? So as we look back and we see, we go all the way to Belgium, and we will see the Almens Zoo. So this is in Belgium, and it has both animals and humans trying to feel as much as home as possible. The highlights include a petting zoo, playground with animals, including primates, birds, reptiles, bears, panthers, and again, as we kind of move out in this aviary, you see the structure of the aviary right there. So birds can fly in and then fly out into these, into these areas, and then kind of move right back. And we can take a quick look to see some of the in a picture. So you can see a pair of parakeets right there, as well as some of other birds. There's another bird right there, and we move and we keep seeing also. And I think there's a kiwi. It looks like a kiwi right at the edge. So as we kind of pan out, we're able again to just kind of walk around. So we are in Belgium and we're just walking around. And I think what's really interesting about it is that you see how it's all dirt roads and just natural habitat. So it's part of making sure that these animals live as close to nature as they can. And we see some of the jungle gyms and areas right here that also being done, and we can walk around. So we can walk in each one of the areas, and we have some of the places for kids to play, and they see the animals as well. So it's a great friendly. Actually looks much more like an open park, and it has all these areas that we can kind of walk and see. So right in the middle, just kind of spending an afternoon and being able to see some of these animals. So it's another interesting way of how zoos are being evolving towards having both animals and humans feel at home. So I think it's a lot of fun. So where is Belgium, anyways? Right. So as we kind of zoom out from the world, there it is, just in the top part of Europe. So Belgium is right here. There's United Kingdom right there, and then we have some of these places. So for today's activity, one of the things that I wanted to do was to be able to cut up some of our cardboard. So it's actually pretty easy. You kind of draw some animals and then you cut them up. And once you cut them up, I'm going to show you how you can put a little base on the bottom, or you can fold them in the bottom, and that way they can stand and put them all together. So I have drawn already, and you can do this as well. I've drawn already some of them. So as you can see, I've drawn either a tiger, I've drawn a rhino, things that we've seen today, as well as a giraffe and the kiwi. I was just, as soon as we saw the kiwi, then I drew it, and you can kind of follow along some of your favorite animals. It's just a piece of cardboard. And once we do that and we start cutting them up, just make sure that you cut them up with leaving enough space for the tail. So as you can see, we're able to get just a little section. So making sure it doesn't have to be extremely tight, because if not, it's just going to be is going to fall off. So as we start cutting right back, and I'm cutting the first animal that I have here, which is the lion, and there we go. One of the interesting things to be able to do is just make sure that you leave the bottom in just enough space. You don't have to cut each one of the paws, because if not, then you're going to start folding. So just make sure that you leave the full bottom right in the area. And it's really simple. You cut right in the middle, just all the way. And you will probably barely see it. It's just a small little cut. And from one of the extra materials that we've had, just got a square base. And once you do a little square base, just like that, cut it as well, around halfway down. And once you do, you'll be able to see that, just a little open area, and just put it right in between the seam of those two slices that you did. So once you do that, you'll have a T at the bottom, and you'll be able to see that this will be able to stand right in the middle without any problems. You can actually fold that a little bit as well. So or you can actually decorate it, and then you'll be able to fold it sideways. And once you do that, you'll be able to have the full range of small little animals, and using the same cardboard you can actually make a small little zoo of your own. Doesn't have to be, and you can add as many animals as you want. As you know, we've been talking about not only having some of the species, but having the different diverse species kind of living together. And so it's a fun little area, so you can add a lot of things. And once you do that, and if I can find my wizard, you can use them to further your adventures. So here we go. Classic adventure. And if you're following Mr. Adams into the Dungeonverse, this would be, another great start for an adventure. You have your wizard, you have your tiger, his familiar, and from then on, kind of living together and exploring the world and the dungeon world together. So lots of fun. Let me cut up the kiwi because I found it not only it's a lot of fun, but we'll be able to actually have that also as well. Like I said, you don't have to cut them completely. Just make sure that you have enough of a space, because the only thing that you need to do is make sure that the outline is done. You don't have to cut it specifically, and make sure that you cut them in such a way that you can see the outline, and just like that. And you have your kiwi ready for action. A wizard with a kiwi. So we only have a few more minutes, so let me just kind of show you something really interesting that I thought was going to be fun. So as we kind of look around, one of the things that I wanted to do is to show you some of the live cameras from around the world. So I thought that this was going to be neat. So these are live cameras. So we have some live giraffes. We have, a sleeping polar bear, as well as my favorite animals, the penguins as well. And you can see some of the koalas eating right in the trees. So what's really interesting is that most of these places and most of these zoos also have live cameras that you can take a quick picture and you see them, and you see all these animals as they are being, as you interact with them, as they're being fed. Cameras kind of move around to keep all the animals also on center, so we can watching. So we are watching animals live from around the world. So I thought that was pretty neat, because even though we have a sleeping polar bear that is right there, we see some giraffes, we see some penguins, and these are from different areas. And this is from the San Diego Zoo. So San Diego Zoo has a great resource that you can take some cameras and plug them in, and you can actually see them live. So you can, if you're tired of watching Netflix, you're tired, let's watch some animals, see how they are. Make sure that you read a little bit about them, because each one has their own personality. Each one has its own great way in which they interact. So I think it's really neat how we be able now not only to explore the world, but also to be able to go. So imagine that, and now that you have some reference of what to do, you can definitely see and start creating again some of the creatures and some of the animals that we can cut up and place as our individual zoo with a live streaming cameras from all these places. So a lot of fun, making sure that all these great resources are there available. So make sure that you use them, make sure you watch them. We're actually seeing feed from the San Diego Zoo, the camera from the sleeping polar bear, as well as some of the giraffes. We have some penguins that that we can that are actually live, and we see right between the rest of the foliage, you see on the tree, there it is, we have a koala that is just having this wonderful Tuesday afternoon, just eating and chewing up some of the leaves, enjoying itself and enjoying the weather. And some of the giraffes kind of walking left and right. So take a nap just like a polar bear, or take a swim just like penguins, or have some snacks just like a koala bear, or just kind of walk around outside, like our giraffes. So a great area of all these things live from different zoos, and from the San Diego Zoo, they're coming with us. So thank you so much for joining. We only have a few more minutes. Leave me, if you like the video, make sure that you like it and make sure that you share it with your friends. This is Around the World with Mr. Walter. We have a few more activities and a few more programs that are coming up here at New Minds Enrichment, New Minds TV. We have at 3 o'clock, we have the STEAM Train with Mr. Dorian. So 3 o'clock we have live STEAM learning and games, so make sure you check that out. As well as 4 o'clock we have from the Numi Vault from Mr. Ben, and he's going to do classic puzzles and brain twisters and present it all live. Like every day we are live here, us inspirators as well as some of the founders of New Minds Enrichment. We also have at 5 o'clock some closing messages and announcement from Mr. Justin, another one of the founders of New Minds, and just kind of keeping up with what's scheduled, what do we have, as well as some of the other things. And make sure that you keep watching some of these activities. Thank you for tuning to Real Inspired Learning. Remember to always pursue your passion. Always pursue your passion, and your passion until it becomes your talent. So one of my passions is being a dungeon master, play all sorts of games, and soon we'll be able to share that passion with all of you, as we're going to be starting a few activities for game mastering. We'll be able to provide you with online games, Mr. Adam and myself as game masters. So make sure you tune in and make sure you reserve your spot. We're going to be adventuring in different worlds, and we're going to be using all sorts of game systems. So just like one of my passions is being a dungeon master. So let me turn you right back to some of the you see if our polar bear friend woke up. No, he's still very much asleep. We see some of the penguins just coming out of the water. We see way out there, we see giraffes moving right across the tundra, and we see some of the other water buffaloes that are right at the edge as well. And we see our koala bear. There were two actually earlier, and this is, I think just one that is still snacking away at some of the leaves right in the right at the trees. So thank you for watching. Enjoy yourselves. Make sure that you keep safe, and we will be seeing you very soon. Tomorrow we'll continue with Mr. Walter Around the World. So have a great rest of the afternoon. Enjoy. Bye.